Mabuhay pageant fans! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hey Adam G, how are you all doing? Well, it's now time for me to talk about my thoughts about the recently concluded Miss World Philippines pageant last weekend. Sa totoo lang guys, I never expected to be vlogging this event, probably because of the fact that we all have been underwhelmed by everything we have seen in this pageant's past editions. There were so many negatives that far outweigh the positives, and I figure it's just best to share my thoughts to the organization privately in those years. But this year, oh wow, things suddenly changed 180 degrees. Like, I didn't expect that I would be walking away from watching MWP finals so happy. And so here I am vlogging about this. So instead of sharing you all my thoughts blow by blow as how everything turned out during the event, let me just share you 5 things I love about watching the show last weekend. 5 things which I could also take as a lesson or lessons in some ways. So here it goes. Okay, first lesson. I never thought that the production of the finals would improve this year. Yup, this is something I never expected to say. But everyone is in unison that this year's Miss World Philippines is by far the best production ALV has organized since assuming the local franchise of Miss World in 2017. While there were some technical difficulties encountered, it truly leveled up this year from the camera, angling, production, all the way down to the performers of the show. The opening number for one was so colorful with a huge backdrop of tall buildings in Manila in the LED, as reflected in the LED screen, providing a wonderful backdrop to the colorful opening dresses of the ladies as they finally did their introductions on stage. So it really felt like there was some sort of a cultural touch or element to it, which was something I have never felt since watching an ALD produced show. So it really felt like you are watching a Filipino show talaga. Hence, I would love to give credit to the director of the show, Sir Bernard May Bituin of Lumina Events, for coming out with a well thought out concept for the show. His team really brainstormed to come out with a well organized show. It's as if he was able to finally figure out the missing elements in assembling or mounting a great show for MWP. The huge LED screen bearing different elements or symbols of the landscape of the Manila skyline in different segments of the show were fun visuals to look at. The host, lalo na si Billy Crawford and Universal Woman 2024 Maria Gigante, proved to be competent hosts as well. I especially love Maria's ad-libs and spills in between segments and interview portions. She is really gregarious and I really love her energy. And again, I have to commend Sir Bernard for shortening the whole show to just 5 hours from the typical 6 hours of their show that always lasts till the wee hours of morning. Yes, the show ended at 2 a.m. but it was technically a slight improvement from their previous telecast duration. So moving forward, alam mo natutuwa ako nakinig sila. They started 9 p.m. and that's understandable because ang lakas-lakas ng ulan noon and all the guests haven't arrived yet completely. So I understand the 9 p.m. start. So moving forward, I hope they could still shorten it to 3 hours because there were parts there which could be discarded or improved. And as I try to study their production format, it seems like their top 20 casual interview is imperative before it moves to the exciting swimsuit and evening gown portions of the show. So I would like to suggest if the organizers could finally scrap out the top 20 casual interview segment just to shorten the whole show. I feel the top 20 casual interview segment is already a redundant segment given that all these 20 ladies shortlisted aced their closed-door prelims beforehand. So if there was a need for, if there was still a need for them to be introduced to the judges that night, sa totoo lang guys, it proved to be quite a stretch because some of the judges that night were mostly sponsors and beauty queens, so already had the idea of the caliber of these ladies involved. But if MWP is still unapologetic about this segment, then perhaps it could imitate what MUO was doing with its similar segment during its IMG era, wherein Steve Harvey would just conduct a short interview every time a girl was called during the semifinals run. And I think this is something that MW could reconsider to really shorten the show to just 3 hours max. Second lesson, wow, I never thought that the OPM theme of the show would truly set the tone for a wonderful evening ahead. Yes, the reason why the production leveled up this year is because it really employed a Filipino theme this year. The Filipino theme wasn't just for the fun visuals on the LED screen, but it also extended to the other elements like the performers of the show. And to be honest, guys, when it announced that the set of when MWP announced the set of performers days prior to the finals, I just, quickly went through it and dismissed it just like a typical announcement or promotion from an organization. But lo and behold, I was clearly underestimating MWP at this point. Getting the Manila Philharmonic Orchestra was really worth the price of admission. Kasi I really enjoyed watching the performances of these people that they hired, these emerging P-pop groups like Believe and Kaya, the Once and singer-songwriter Jonoy Danao. Tapos the girls parading in their swim while the song Bongga Kaday was being played. Ang saya lang talaga panoorin. And so, my gosh, MWP was really serious in its commitment to give us a good show this year. Not only was it a good show, but it also gave exposure and opportunities to our local pop groups and talents for the whole world to appreciate. So sana maging constant fixture na rin ang pag-hire ng mga local talents natin sa pageant productions natin. Kasi ako, nawala na talagang kilala sa mga bagong artista natin at mga musikero sa music industry natin. But thanks to these pageant organizations like Binibini, MUP, and now MWP, mas nakikilala na natin, exposed na tayo, and familiar na rin ako sa mga bagong singing talents natin ngayon. Like SB19, Lola Amour, and now the Ones. Diba? But, sa totoo lang guys, but this OPM theme could have never been more felt talaga during the evening gown segment of the competition. The LED screen suddenly changed to a beautiful landscape of Manila at night, featuring its beautiful city of Manila architecture with neon-colored signages bearing the names of some famous streets in Manila, and even the name of Miss World, diba, at the side of the stage. While the Philharmonic Orchestra beautifully played some of our beloved Filipino love songs with its instruments as the top 20 contestants beautifully paraded in their modern interpretations of the terno. And for me, this was really the highlight of the show. Everything felt so Filipino for me at this point. Everything was just so beautiful to look at. I believe this is the first time that the pageant had an evening gown segment featuring ternos. And so it was so refreshing to one's eyes. So kudos again to the organization for this never-before-used concept for a national pageant. It was just so refreshing to see ladies looking so classy and elegant in our national ternos instead of these, see-through figure-hugging dresses that we have grown so tired of seeing already. Diba? And speaking of ternos, let's talk about some memorable ternos that was worn in this segment. Let me go first with Isabel Bilasano's terno. It was color green, and I love it fit her like a glove. And I just have a soft spot for ladies who truly stick to the brief of what a Filipiniana should be all about, which is all about modesty and elegance, and not so much about showing too much skin. Wow, Isabel really looked like every inch a royalty here. And then I also like Krishna's winning gown made by Sir Rian Fernandez. The gown featured an off-shoulder design with an embroidered skirt, which made Krishna look a whole new different girl. Na modest, conservative, and very Filipiniana as opposed to her va-va-voom image in her previous pageant. And I know some people feel Krishna's impact as a contestant has been diminished given her soft styling for this pageant, but I feel she showed something new here. So I didn't mind the welcome change at all, to be honest. And apart from Krishna, I also like the gown worn by Sofia Santos from Pampanga. Hers was a modern interpretation of a Filipiniana with its intricate details on the bodice with a white draping for a more elegant touch, which really caught my attention. She really looked like a mannequin on stage. And then I also love Bianca Tapia's Maria Clara inspired evening gown made by Eran Montoya. The gown also has a structure of shoulder sleeves with embellishments, which I feel made Bianca look more Filipino given her background. So it was very clean, regal, and sophisticated. And then lastly, I also love Rihanna Pangandian's Filipiniana. It had a very simple blue with touches of white dye on it, so the effect to me was very calming and refreshing. She looked very exquisite in her gown. I thought she looked absolutely perfect in her gown. However, as we saw, she didn't win any crown towards the end of the show, and I feel so bad for her. Actually, there is nothing to really nitpick about her performance. It's just that, there's just stronger competition from the fresh faces this time around. Hopefully, one day she will be given her long overdue crown and get to represent us abroad. And now we go to my third highlight or lesson, which is I never thought that the Q&A portion of this year's pageant was so refreshingly easy this time around. I know we are so used to having difficult questions for the Q&A round for Miss World Philippines, but I really appreciate the fact that MWP watered down their questions to simple personality questions this time around. I say this because its decision to water down the questions was a result of how easy and simple the questions being asked in its mother pageant. Napansin niyo naman, di ba? Miss World does not make their contestants bleed their brain on stage with all these controversial hot button topics. And so I really appreciate MWP towing the line of its mother pageant this time around for a change, because if you will remember its previous edition back in 2022, the questions there were so difficult, which led for some of its frontrunners like Paula Ortega to hem and haw during the show, which proved to be the reason why she didn't win the crown in the end. So fast forward to this year, wow, we now see mostly personality questions, which proved to be an easy task for all the remaining contestants competing. So, alam mo yun, sana ganito palagi ang MWP. Iniisip palagi nila how or what its mother organization is thinking and doing with its pageants abroad. Diba? So it is in this note that I don't mind Krishna winning the crown with her very safe answer about inclusivity. I think she got the hardest question of the night, but she still acquitted herself very well there. In another setting or pageant, her answer might not be enough. But for MWP and Miss World, it was just the right balance or thing to say given Miss World's, conservative stance as a brand. And I get that. And as long as Krishna was able to string her thoughts very well on stage, it doesn't matter how we feel about her answer grammatically or for political correctness. Kasi ako, sa totoo lang, kinabahan din ako sa sagot niya eh. Kasi, di ba, sabi niya, towards the end of her statement, and as the world is evolving, we humans should evolve too. So I thought yung word na revolve was redundant. So kinabahan ako na it quite lost impact to the judges and audience. But again, she still won. So the judges didn't mind those little things that, that made her answer not perfect. So now we go naman to Isabela Bilasano from Bicol Region. Wow, she proved to be the ultimate rival of Krishna for the crown that night when she was asked to pick between having a successful career or a happy family life. And I thought she nailed it. It was an answer that was so simple and heartfelt, probably a peek into her life as a dutiful and loving daughter to her family. And I thought with that answer, she could win the Miss World Philippines crown. Kinabahan ako para kay Krishna, and I thought she would really get it. And then, Nikki Buenafe from Pangasinan likewise gave a very heartfelt answer about giving advice to someone who has a very low self-esteem. Her answer was very personable, and she related it from her experience. So, I get why she got a crown. And then, Andrea Endicia from Quezon Province also had a great answer about her definition of kindness. And I thought she should have gotten a placement with her great answer there. So hopefully next time, if she joins another pageant, she will definitely have the support of the pageant fans to rally behind her candidacy should she join another pageant again. And then lastly, I have to commend Bianca Tapia, who also nailed her answer. I really have to give it to her. She really was able to mention 3 things within the time limit. So kudos to how she was able to compose herself the whole time, because let's face it, it wasn't easy to do that. And in her case, you can sense a tinge of nervousness in her voice. But I'm glad that she powered through it in the end by making it just in the nick of time. And now we go to my fourth lesson, is that I never thought that a fan favorite could win the title of MWP. I think this is the first time in many years that I walk away from watching an MWP show with a happy smile on my face, because it was just so refreshing for a heavy fan favorite like Krishna Gravides to win the crown given the odds stack against her. And overall, the judges went for a well-rounded candidate in the end, and so Krishna was it. And this is the beauty of crowning a fan favorite, because everyone just felt so good after the show. I know Krishna may not have the stellar communication skills her predecessors have, but she really has the heart and authenticity to back that up. I know, and what I like about her is that she does not pretend that her BWAP is the strongest, nor answer all the questions thrown at her like a mad scientist. But every time there is an activity for her to showcase her communication skills, there is a welcome improvement. And so we can only expect better things from Krishna from now on. So, now that Krishna is the newly crowned MWP, imagine talaga guys the following that she can bring to the table from her previous pageant journey. Social media will be abuzz with Miss World again from Filipino pageant fans, something that we haven't seen or felt since the time of Catriona Gray in 2016. Iingay uli for sure ang MWP, iingay din ang Miss World eventually. So, win-win for both parties. ALV and his Miss World Philippines organization will gain back the appreciation from us pageant fans, while Krishna gets to finally fulfill her wish of competing in an international major pageant. So suddenly, there is this sense of newfound hope that Krishna could overcome the odds of becoming the second Filipina to wear the blue crown. And I know it's very difficult, but as early as now, I know that she is willing to go through the hard work to make us proud early next year. And now we go to my fifth and last lesson, which is take risks, gamble in the fear of the unknown, because your destiny might await you. Who here, sa totoo lang guys, hate the fear of the unknown? I do. But like all else, once in a while, we need to brave this in order to get out of our comfort zone. And that comfort zone has been sending mestizas to Miss World for better chances of winning. But what if we do something different this time around? Ibahin naman natin ang atake. Flip the coin for a change. Is it worth the risk? Well, it's something that Sir ALB must be thinking at the moment. Because crowning Krishna Gravides could be the positive catalyst that we need for his MWP brand at the moment. Because let's face it, Miss World's image to us Filipino fans has been tarnished ever since it only put Catriona in the top 5 with her winning answer in 2016. And things have never been the same from then on. Consequently, we swore off Julia's name as the most hated villain in the pageant world, but crowning Krishna is throwing us to the fear of unknown. And that's very exciting because we don't know what to expect, di ba? And just like how MUP crowned Chelsea as the first Filipina Black Barbie to win in our country earlier this year, MWP is also taking a huge risk or leap of faith on Krishna on account of serving someone different for a change, completely a world away or deviation from the prototype. And so it's worth noting that ALV is taking a gamble on Krishna this year. Now, he is willing to mold Krishna in a different way, very far from the Miss Universe persona we have always envisioned Krishna to be. And even though every change and transformation, whether personal or professional, comes with potential upsides and downsides. And though most of us think Krishna is losing her impact or essence given her new soft image for Miss World, pero from ALV's business point of view as a businessman and showbiz manager, it's finally possible to shift that mindset and decrease our fear by inviting us to join his gamble, one that adds an element of surprise and winning possibility, however small it is at the moment. which enables us to challenge the Miss World status quo or its contest parameters. Naisip niyo ba yun? It's as if Krishna ebb on ALV the risk that she took, and the latter is now willing to gamble on her. And this is where I think ALV is being tested on. His resilience, being able to take a blow one after the other given the placement of our country in the last edition of Miss World, and still standing. That a fan favorite balking the odds, where she can transform into new possibilities through the gateway of the unknown. And isn't that exciting? Krishna Gravides now charming the world.